You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button. Okay, another day has brought another LSU Tiger hitting the portal. This time, I would argue it is the most significant portal entry that LSU has had. That does come with a caveat, though. So I'll get to that caveat here in just a second. But the news is, as you probably have heard by now, that running back Logan Diggs is leaving LSU, entering the transfer portal. Diggs, we all know, prepped at Archbishop Rummel, went to Notre Dame under Brian Kelly. Kelly recruited Logan Diggs out of the portal to LSU. And Diggs was LSU's leader among running backs this year. So it stings because this is the guy that, if you remember in fall camp, LSU had 8 scholarship running backs, 8. And one of the questions all throughout fall camp was, what are you going to do with 8 running backs? Brian Kelly was asked about this, if you remember, during fall camp. This is what Kelly said when he was asked about all the glut of numbers and bodies in that running back room.
Look, we got one football. That hasn't changed. So, we'll figure it out as it goes. But my guess is that, it always ends up coming back to the guys with the most experience end up kind of rising to the top and taking it over.
The guys with the most experience that rise to the top and take it over. And in the end, of course, that was Logan Diggs, who was outpaced only by Jaden Daniels, who was not only the best rushing quarterback in the country, one of the best runners, period, in all of college football this year. But on the season, Logan Diggs led LSU running backs 119 attempts, 653 yards, averaged better than 5 yards a carry, 7 rushing touchdowns. He was basically second to Daniels in all of those stats. So you're talking about a guy that is a projectable NFL running back leaving your roster. Now, I told you that there was a little bit of a caveat about this being the most significant portal entry so far for LSU. I know some of you are going to say, man, Lance Hurd. And by now you probably should know my feelings on that. Lance Hurd was a backup and is projected to be a backup at LSU in 2024. Logan Diggs was your best running back. So I don't really care about the star ratings and what you think a projection is. What I'm talking about is on-field production. This guy was your best running back this year. That is inarguable. Line up all of your running backs. He was your best. Only Jaden Daniels had more carries. Only Jaden Daniels had more rushing yards. He averaged more yards per carry than anybody else. So, yeah, even Caleb Jackson averaged 5.3. Logan Diggs, 5.5. He had more touchdowns than anybody other than Jaden Daniels. This was your best running back of all your running backs. So, yes, it stings. But here's the caveat. The caveat is what we talked about when Caden Durham committed, what we talked about earlier this week when Harlem Berry committed. The caveat is you don't need 8 running backs. LSU didn't need 8 running backs this year. That was excessive. Now, it was circumstantial because Trey Bradford wanted to come back. Noah Cain could have left last year, wanted to come back, so he did. Josh Williams could have left, came back for a 5th year. So you had a lot of guys that could have left who came back. Trey Bradford came back into the program. Armani Goodwin was coming off of injury, and you signed 2 freshmen. So it was a weird circumstance where, everybody came back that could have. John Emery came back. Everybody that could have returned did. And then you added 2 freshmen and, of course, Diggs out of the portal. So you had an inordinate amount of running backs with 8. Now, Emery's out of eligibility. Noah Cain's out of eligibility. Bradford and Goodwin have hit the portal. Diggs has hit the portal. So that's 5 of your 8 that are gone. Josh Williams has said he's likely to return for a 6th season, which I think is welcome. Team guy, good all-around back, can run it, can block, can catch it, all that stuff. Never going to be a superstar, not a draftable prospect, doesn't have huge NFL upside or anything. So if he wants to come back and give you some veteran depth at running back for another year, I'd welcome that from Josh Williams. Now, Caleb Jackson is going to be your RB1, barring something dramatically unforeseen. And Trey Holly at times this year showed flashes of why he's one of the best statistical running backs in the history of Louisiana high school football. and then you're bringing in Caden Durham. So when you look at Caleb Jackson, Trey Holly, Caden Durham, and you add on top of that Josh Williams returning, that's 4. Use one more, and maybe you go get one more out of the portal. We'll see, even if it's just for depth. But where you are now with those 4, you're still really good. It's not 8, but you didn't need 8. Look at how it worked out this year. After Jaden, among your running backs, Logan Diggs had 119 attempts. Josh Williams had 55. Noah Cain had 37. Caleb Jackson had 31. John Emery had 23. Trey Holly had 11. I mean, you can take those carries and consolidate them into 4 backs and be really good. And maybe that means one guy gets 150 carries. Maybe next year it's Caleb Jackson has 150 attempts and Trey Holly has 50 and Josh Williams has 75. Like maybe that's how it breaks down. I don't know, but you got enough. And that's the caveat. While Logan Diggs is the most experienced player, the guy with the most skins on the wall of all the guys that have gone in the portal, you're still going to be okay at that position. You wish it had worked out longer term for Logan Diggs. And the other thing worth mentioning, and I don't know, the thing that surprised me more about Logan Diggs' announcement is not that he's leaving, but I would have thought he would have gone to the NFL instead of the portal. But you might, if you watched the bowl game on Monday, you saw that Logan Diggs didn't finish the game for LSU. That 98-yard touchdown drive, it was Josh Williams. Remember, you threw an incomplete pass on first down. You had 2nd and 10 from the 2. Josh Williams ripped off a 9-yard run. You had 3rd and 1, and Josh Williams gets hit behind the line, scoots forward for 2 yards, gets the first down, and then off you went. But what maybe you didn't see, but is making its rounds out there, this video we're going to show is courtesy of Jacques Doucet for those who are watching. I mean, it's a video of Logan Diggs leaving the field, and he's got a brace from the top of his thigh down past his knee, and his left leg is completely straight. And I've asked around, and it seems like the early returns, that's a pretty severe knee injury that Logan Diggs suffered in the ReliaQuest Bowl. I don't want to use the dreaded 3 letters until I know that definitively, but I think most people, when you see a guy like that with a knee injury, with a big brace like that, favoring it the way it is, I think we all assume this, like it's 2023, right? Or 2024 now. We all assume what it might be when you're talking about a knee and something like that. So, we'll wait and see. But ultimately, the fear is that it's a pretty significant knee injury. And so at what point, I guess my point is there's uncertainty there. At what point is Logan Diggs even healthy, to be able to contribute in 2024? Don't know. So a lot of questions there to answer around Logan Diggs, but he enters the portal. Tigers have had a lot of players enter the portal. I mean, when you run through the list of LSU players that have entered the transfer portal, it's getting pretty long, but it's also, when you run through the list and the names, you don't really look at anything until Logan Diggs and obviously Lance Hurd, where you really feel like you're losing out on a significant contributor. I mean, Diggs was your leading rusher, but Matt O'Dowd's in the portal, Lance Hurd, who we mentioned, Jalen Brown's a really good prospect, but didn't play this year. Denver Harris, Deuce Chestnut, Ty G. Hill, Fitzgerald West, Marlon Martinez got beat out by DJ Chester at center. Quincy Wiggins, tremendous upside, but what did you see him do in 2 years? Not much. He's going to Colorado. Jackson McGowan, buried in a deep tight end room. He's headed to Wisconsin. Then guys like Tavion Falk and George Hamsley are in the portal right now. LaTerrence Welch, Armani Goodwin, Trey Bradford, Bryce Langston. You see my point? It's a lot of names. It's a lot of bodies. It's a lot of maybe young depth, but it's not a lot of production. So until Logan Diggs went in the portal, you hadn't really lost that guy that had been a big producer for you. But the good news for LSU is it looks like they got plenty of bodies, talent, and experience there at running back to replace the loss of Logan Diggs, along with John Emery, Noah Cain, Trey Bradford, Armani Goodwin. 5 of the 8 running backs you had on scholarship this year won't be back with the Tigers in 2024. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.